Preciousbark, a singer, songwriter, a woman of faith, a public relations personnel, an entrepreneur. But most importantly, Preciousbark is a child of God. I offer one-to-one coaching for individuals, and I offer group consultation, or shall I call it consultation for churches, choir within the church or choir within a ministry. The idea behind this is to be able to diagnose, assess the group, be able to identify their needs, because every group is different. And because every group is different, it is important to assess the group before you embark on any form of training. That's what I do. I would say a few achievements by the grace of God. Well, I have had the privilege of working with individuals. I've had the privilege of working with groups. I've had the opportunity to serve different organizations, support different choirs, different teams, different community groups, and it's been an amazing journey. By the grace of God, a recording artist for over 30 years, but for me, it doesn't feel like it, because the focus has always been to serve God with my gifts, and yeah, that has been the journey. Of course, apart from releasing singles, apart from releasing albums, I've also had the privilege of serving along people who have now become my brothers and my sisters. Well, one of the things I did that helped me to improve greatly was I gave myself a challenge to learn 2 songs a week. I remember we would have songs being released on a monthly, probably even weekly basis. You have Integrity Music, you have, different songs being released. And because I wanted to learn, I decided to give myself a challenge. A task was to learn 2 songs per week. And in learning those 2 songs per week, I would also devour books on worship, the lifestyle of a worship leader, how to be an effective worship leader. So many books. I mean, I remember there were times I would read books, and by the time I wake up in the morning, I'd already had dreams about what I read. So I would obviously say that was one time in my life that I believe that season helped to shape me. Well, I had a very funny experience. It was once I was leading in church. I remember specifically in my choir somewhere, I think it was 1992. I sang a special song, special ministration in church. And that particular day, I don't know what happened to the keyboardist. It may well be me who sang off key, but I went off key. And I got home, I was literally beating myself, saying, no, this shouldn't have happened to me. And that day, I made a decision that, you know what? To save myself the embarrassment of going off key, and of course, wanting to develop myself, wanting to improve, I decided to go for lessons. Now, in those days, we didn't have a lot of worship leaders, or should I say coaches, because even the ones we had, they were very expensive. I remember a particular experience. I used to live in East Dulwich, and the vocal trainer I found was living somewhere around Kingsbury. I mean, it was about 2.5 hours away, because I couldn't afford to pay for, to go to the session, taking the train. I had to go on the bus, jumping from one bus to the other. And by the time I arrived at this woman's place, an amazing vocal coach. I went there for like 5 or 6 weeks, but I couldn't cope with financially it was draining. I believe at that time she was charging about £50 or £52.50, if I remember. I took those lessons, and graciously she then offered and said to me, you know what, I'll recommend some DVDs, some CDs, some tapes. And boy, I devoured those tapes, DVDs. I watched DVDs, I listened to CDs, I did vocal exercises. That particular experience, the fact that I went off key and everything came out like in a mess, I was gutted. I was upset with myself. And that experience pushed me, I would say, or made me to begin to, have a desire to learn, because why? I never want that experience to happen again. And sometimes things do happen and we're all complaining and we think, oh no, that shouldn't have happened. But maybe if I didn't have that bad experience, the embarrassment that I suffered, maybe I probably wouldn't have thought about going to learn. But that experience taught me, and that was the beginning of my journey. In 1992, I decided to take music seriously. And that experience definitely was worth it. I know it doesn't make sense, but if I hadn't had that terrible experience, I probably wouldn't have thought about improving myself. But yeah, that experience moved me to begin my journey, learning how to sing properly. My role is to help worship leaders or to help singers to discover, develop, and deploy. The first step would be to discover yourself, discover your singing skills, discover the fact that this is what I want to do. This is my aim. Of course, the next step will be to develop yourself, training, personal development, knowing that you can reach out to people who can help you, getting all the help and the support you can get even from friends in the choir or people in your team. Developing you is your responsibility. The truth is, nobody knows what you want to achieve. If you're someone who is usually shy, or maybe you're afraid or you're nervous when you get on stage, you need to find a way to begin to learn what are the things I can do. And now this is where we come in as mentors and coaches. So my role and what I offer is to help you discover you. Secondly, we need to find a way to develop your skills. And of course, the way to deploy that gift would be, okay, I've found myself, I've discovered me, I have developed myself, and I am developing on a daily basis. And then I'd like to I would like to begin to record my songs, to put it on social media, or I'm just someone who wants to be a better worship leader, to be able to sing and to be able to lead worship or to be able to lead a group. So you will need obviously to discover yourself, develop yourself and continue to develop yourself, and then you're able to deploy those gifts. It is important for singers to go on to be trained, because if you do not train, you will not be growing, and it is important to grow so you're not stagnant. I mean, we know a stagnant river stinks. And I believe that as Christians, we need to plan. As you're planning for your New Year resolution, you're planning with the goals, the things you want to achieve, it is important also to add this to your list of things that you're going to be achieving. Oh, this year, I would like to improve myself in this area. Of course, if you're planning to improve yourself in you're developing your singing skills, it is also important to put a budget together. For some of us, we need to attend one-to-one session, one-to-one training, you could online, face-to-face. At the same time, if you don't plan for it, if you don't put a budget together, you find yourself saying, oh, I don't think I can afford it. And that's the end. So the question is, are you developing yourselves on a regular basis? Or it's a case of turn up in church, Just attending rehearsals, I tell you, it's not enough. If you are serious about using your gift and using your skills properly. For some people, they need to be trained. For some, they're naturals. They're gifted. They can improve themselves by just, copying, listening to others. But for some people, it is important to find people who can give you feedback, because it is important for you to get feedback from people who you trust, who you know they have your interest at heart. And I believe that the Lord will bless us as we make the effort to have better outcomes, to be able to serve the body of Christ more effectively. Yes, it is possible to be a great singer. I believe it's possible to be a great singer. 2 things I'd recommend. I would say train yourself. Make time to develop you. Make time to improve your skills. And also, to achieve your dreams, know exactly what you want to achieve. Some want to be a recording artist. Some people just want to lead worship. Some just want to be a singer. Some just want to be in a choir just to sing to God. They're not looking to take their music anywhere else. It's just to serve. So you need to identify your area of calling. What are you called to do? In my perspective is this. The moment you recognize what you're called to do, it makes it easy. Developing your skills will come from the fact that you actually do know what you want to achieve. So I believe it is possible to improve yourself as a singer, and it is possible to improve yourself, to have better skills. So at least you aim higher. I remember when I first started singing, I was just content sounding like Helen Baylor. Why? She was the only one I'd heard. She was one person that, well, I wouldn't say she was the only one. I would say she was one person that I had really admired, been a new convert, and I'd loved her, a lot of her songs. And I began to work towards developing myself, not necessarily sound like her, but I could sing as high, I could sing those notes, which wasn't too high. It was fine. I felt like, oh yeah, this is comfortable. But a time came when I thought, I know as much as I don't sound so high like CC, but I could develop myself. And bang, one day I couldn't remember. I think there was a song I was given in church. I was given in church to practice that particular song, and it was done by CC. I picked up the song, learned it, and I was able to get to the notes. And in fact, there was a particular song I also remember that Yolanda Adams did. I was able to pitch the song. So I would say we can make progress, but set little goals for yourselves. Set goals. This is what I'd like to achieve in the next 6 months. I'd like to do this. And then I believe you definitely can do it. But not setting goals, not preparing yourself for, not even identifying what you want to do to improve yourself. Maybe a case of someone not going anywhere. But I believe you could do all things through Christ who strengthens you. I remember I was at an event in the early 90s. I had a friend on stage who was singing, and as soon as she started singing, I don't know what happened. I don't think she had even sang more than a minute. I don't even think it was up to a minute. She froze. Stage fright had hit her, and everybody else was sitting down there clapping like, okay, you can do it. But sometimes you can do it alone is not enough. So I just found myself, I got up, moved towards the stage, picked up the second mic and held her by the side, and I started singing along. I just decided to continue. It literally turned into a karaoke. I just joined in and I began to sing with her. And as I sang with her, the audience was so gracious. They were clapping, they were, really supporting us. And at that moment, it did hit me that, you know what, girl, you were raised to fix things like this. Because it just happened. I just did it naturally. I didn't think I was doing anything out of I didn't think I was doing anything strange. Well, I trained professionally because I didn't want to be embarrassed. Like I shared before, I had an embarrassing situation in the past, and I didn't want to be embarrassed anymore because I went off key on this particular day, and I then decided, no, I was going to train myself. And secondly, I think the fear of comparing ourselves to others. When you find someone, you meet someone who could actually sing. Bible says we do not compare ourselves to others. So I know it's sometimes difficult for singers to see someone who can actually sing and not feel like, oh, I wish I could do that. The truth is, your gifts and your talents are different. And in my own case, I met people over time. I met people who in those days could actually sing. Rather than getting myself into a competition with them, I become friends with them. And this is what I say to worship leaders. It's anyone who can help you, anyone you believe they've got more than you've got, make friends with them. I can count countless friends in ministry who they know a lot more. And one of the things that has endeared me to them is the fact that, oh, this person, they've got what I don't have, and I would love to do those things, and I admire those things about them. And we become friends. And I have served over time. I've served some of my friends, being backup singers for them. When they have events, being there to support them, not necessarily looking for any platform, but being there just to learn. And in those associations has helped me to grow over time. And I believe anyone looking to improve themselves, anyone who is looking to develop themselves, those are one of the things you can do to help you improve yourself. And someone asked me this question once, that how about people who you don't get on? How about people who don't get on in the same team and the same choir? Well, I call it flesh. I say that is flesh. There's no reason for you to have people you don't get on with them in the choir. No, you really should. You should get on with everyone. What that means is this. I'm not saying be friends with everyone, but you should get on with everyone because you have an assignment, you have a role to play. If you guys are going to lead people into the presence of God, you have to find a way to work with others effectively. One of the things I observed as I started off on this journey was I knew I needed to deal with the spirit of fear. Someone said fear is false evidence appearing real. A lot of times we're afraid of something that doesn't exist. It does not exist, and yet we're scared, yet we're afraid of it. It's normal to feel afraid. It is normal to be fearful if you don't know what you're into and if you don't know what you're doing. What do I mean by that? As a worship team member, there are times you worry about, oh, it's my turn to sing next week. What am I going to sing? How do I prepare myself? And for even some of us, we've done all the preparations, but you might arrive on stage and someone gives you a funny look. And looking at that person, it may have nothing to do with you. A lot of times we look at faces. Oh, that person looked at me in a particular way, and so I feel this way. Now, the truth is, fear is something we all need to deal with. I say to worship teams, I say to individuals, I say to groups, there's no need to be afraid. You've come into the house of your Father to worship, to lead. You're not there to entertain anyone. So rather than allowing fear of people around you or being afraid that you will get it wrong, I always suggest that worship you do in your bedroom, if you bring it out into the open, it makes it easy, I would say. Because when you're worshiping in your bedroom, You're never afraid. You're never afraid. Well, I am never afraid when I'm worshiping in my room. I'm worshiping God, and I believe an overflow of what takes place in your bedroom or in your private moment is what you're supposed to bring on stage. So I personally would say a way to deal with fear is bring your worship from your secret place into the open. Definitely, fear will jump out of the window. One of the reasons I think I may have been afraid was because when I joined this little group, in that group we still had people who were good singers, and knowing I had just started, I didn't want to get things wrong, and I think also I was afraid of being judged, because this is what this is what we do. We'll come into a group, you find people who've been singing, maybe they've been singing for years, and you probably do not have as much experience as those people. There's a possibility for you to begin to think, oh no, if I don't sing better, or if I don't sing as much as this person who's just finished singing, if I don't do a better job, or if I don't do as much as they've done, there's a possibility people will compare me. Mind you, a lot of times it's us who actually do the judging. We judge ourselves. We assume that others around us are judging us. For the life of me, I always think, wow, that person is such a good singer. She's such a fantastic singer. I don't think I can do that. Now remember, a new convert, never had any experience singing, raised as a Muslim. So coming into church, finding people who had probably been doing it for years before I turned up, I allowed the fear of, oh, I don't think I can do what this person has just done. I don't think I'll be as good as this person. So in other words, I started off comparing myself to others. I began to judge me. So the fact that I began to judge myself, I came to a conclusion: you need to work on this. I knew I needed to work on it. And also, nobody said anything to me about singing. I didn't get no training. In those days, you gave your life to Christ, you join a group, just go with the flow. That's what we were told. That was my experience. But I realized that if after I had joined, someone sat me down, spoke to me about, just try, take a step at a time. We were taught to take a step at a time in our walk with God, but no one discussed anything to do with me serving God, giving as much, the little I could do, or as much as I could do, and not feel like you had to do a perfect job. Because being surrounded by people who could do a better job somehow intimidated me. And there were times I retreated, and I was like, even when they called me to sing, I was like, oh, no, let them do it. And it is possible for individuals to feel that way. So that was my experience. My passion is to help singers find their voice. My passion is to help people around me unlock their voice, either singing or speaking. And I believe the greatest achievement any coach or any mentor can achieve is to help you discover yourself and be able to express yourself. Yeah, definitely. You have a lot of potential within you. Greatness lies inside of you. And I cannot wait to help you unlock the greatness from within. Blessings.